Alright, so today I want to do a video talking about comparing the economics of common ways of doing, business or choosing career. The first thing that led me to this question is comparing coffee shop versus a bar or a pub. And I think I'm just going to do a bunch of searches with Gemini and just ask overview broad level questions. I'm interested in learning about the best. I don't know if there is a better business to get into. What is it, and how do you know? And then also, there's obviously a bunch of different considerations for different kinds of businesses, but I want to figure out why would you pick one career path over another, or one type of business, one type of investment over another? Because there's obviously trades, but how do you figure that out? So the reason that I originally started asking this question was because I was thinking about coffee shop versus bar. A bar usually sells more expensive drinks and also many more of them to the same customer than a coffee shop would. And coffee shop usually sells one drink. It's less expensive, and the customer, I don't know, the drinks are just less expensive. I was just curious, what are the economics like? And it definitely looks like bars and pubs have higher profit margins. So a pub, I think, sort of initially also has a kitchen, and so I think you are sort of eating into those profit margins when you start selling food. That's sort of my interpretation here. I don't really want to look into it that much further. There's also, I think, radically different startup costs for each of these three different things from the previous research that I did, and also the insurance that you have to have, and also the liquor license for when you are serving alcohol is a big part of the net expenses. And so it's definitely more expensive to start a bar or a pub. But that's not really what I'm focused on. Mostly what I'm focused on is just like, I'm trying to figure out what is the highest net profit business. So this is an interesting line of questioning, but I want to start asking questions about the highest profit business. It's always curious when you ask these kinds of questions because the default answer that you get is always really bad. And I was wondering, why does it always feel like I'm asking the question for the first time and nobody else is asking the question? Alright, so this is extremely interesting information. Professional employer organizations currently leading with margins as high as 96%. So it says the highest profit margin, what percentage you keep, or the highest total net income, total dollar amount. I don't care about net income. I want to know about profit margin. Specialized consulting and coaching, software as a service, psychic services. Interestingly, this remains one of the highest margin industries, approximately 88% due to near zero inventory or equipment costs. That's fascinating right there. Total annual profit, global corporation, blah. Let's ask for the top 100 highest net profit small to medium businesses. All right. So the highest profit margins, professional employer organizations, workplace safety consultants, healthcare staffing agencies, psychic and spiritual services, specialized pipeline transportation, commercial land leasing, prop tech software, our AI tools for landlords and tenants, SaaS, online course platforms, tax resolution services, service and expertise, financial consulting, corporate training, bookkeeping, IT and cybersecurity, niche digital marketing, notary public, virtual assistant agencies. All right, so honestly, wow, it sounds like if you want to be a psychic, that sounds like really good money. Let's ask, of these top 100 high net profit margin businesses, which ones require the least amount of training? Virtual assistant, so digital asset businesses, social media, cleaning services, affiliate marketing, reselling. All right. So the highest net profit and the lowest startup cost, affiliate marketing. I have no idea what affiliate marketing is. Mobile notary, that sounds like really good. Virtual assistant, social media management, flipping, reselling, residential cleaning. Oh wow. I heard really good things. I had a friend who did residential cleaning. She got paid relatively good money. I don't think this was about 10 years ago. She was getting paid, I think, 25 or something an hour, which was quite a bit higher than minimum wage. And it seems like a great gig. Wait, what is flipping and reselling? This is interesting. So you buy, it doesn't say what you're flipping. I think when you're flipping and reselling, you probably need a place to store the things that you're flipping. I heard once that a guy who he liked to flip cars, he would buy cars and fix them up and then resell them, and he made good money doing that. So this is small and medium businesses. This is very interesting information. Sounds like being an affiliate marketer is a great source of money. I'm interested to know how much training that takes. But I want to expand my search to, instead of focusing on small and medium businesses, I want to think about what is the best way to make the most money as an individual. I want to ask the career employee versus business owner question. All right, so I asked, if you want to make 10 million a year, can you do that as an employee? And the answer is the paths to do that are very narrow. You cannot be a typical employee at this level. Your compensation is almost never a salary. It's usually like a small base salary, maybe 1 million, supplemented by massive performance bonuses. Only for jobs that, so Fortune 500 CEOs, professional athletes and entertainers, finance rainmakers, high-end specialized surgeons, while rare world-renowned neurosurgeons and plastic surgeons in private practice can occasionally net this amount, although they are often technically business owners of their practice. Business owner versus employee reality. $10 million employee versus 10 millions in business. You own the assets and the cash flow. So it just looks like, so asking essentially, at what desired wealth income level does it make sense to stop thinking like an employee and start wanting to be a business owner? It says up to 200, approximately 250 to 400K range. That makes sense to me. If you're trying to make more than 500K a year, then I think the number of places where you could be an employee and make more than 500K a year just shrink to vanishingly small. And also, okay, so this is all making sense to me. Let's ask this question. Why are so many people employees when you could just as easily be a business owner? It feels like being a business owner is more flexible and has higher earning potential. I'm not sure why you would want to be an employee when choosing your future career path. All right. So it looks like when you start your own business, often you're trading, you often spend a lot more time and you gain autonomy, you lose flexibility because you can't really step away. That makes sense to me. All right, so now I want to ask, what approach to business allows you to grow a business without putting in more than 40 hours a week? Question mark. Or maybe if it's not an approach to business, but it's just a certain kind of business or a certain category of business that allows you to achieve cash flow so that you don't have to be putting in time personally in order to get money out of it. So it looks like if you want to be an absentee business owner, then there are a few business categories that are much better for that. And digital asset model are one. So SaaS, digital products and courses and content affiliate sites, building a blog or YouTube channel that generates ad revenue and commissions, automated physical models, laundromats, vending and ATM and self-storage facilities. This is really interesting. I've heard for a long time that laundromats and vending machines, they all seem like a very attractive business model because it's very hands-off. And also I've heard that laundromats in particular have really good return on investment. They're very consistent money earners. It's a very simple business to operate. It's very interesting. Productized services, cleaning, landscaping, agency. You don't pick up a mop or mower. You spend 10 hours a week on marketing and managing the team. The architect approach now how to stay under 40 hours. If you choose a traditional business but you want to keep your hours low, you must implement these three pillars immediately. Standard operating procedures, document every single task so a 20-hour assistant can do it exactly like you would. If it's in your head, you are the bottleneck. This is the interesting stuff. To me, it's just like a Venn diagram of business ownership is cool, but also like how do you do it so that it's a system that runs without you, which is like, I don't know, it's like the fabled golden thing, but also it's just like, why would you get into business at all? Why would you make money at all if it wasn't specifically only this way? The rule of three, identifying three tasks that actually grow the business: sales, strategy, and product design. Delegate everything else. Hire a general manager, the integrator, the reality checks, front loading the work. Is important to be candid. Very few businesses start at 10 hours a week. Most passive businesses require a period of front loading where you work 60 hours a week for 6 to 12 months to build the systems, code, and software or find the locations. If you're working hard now to buy your time back later, the true business isn't one that pays you for your work, it's one that pays you for your ownership. Blah, blah. This is very interesting. All right, so my next question is, what about tools to help you find product market fit for finding more absentee owner cash flow style businesses? Question mark. All right, and it's just listing some, I guess, different tools and websites to find product market fit: blog, Google Trends, Statista, and Minta, PickFu, financial analysis tools. This is all interesting. I also have a lot of questions about, I guess, finance. I've had an intuition for a while that working in finance seems like a really good way to make money, not as an employee, but simply just because when you work directly with money instead of with other products or services, it feels like you are closer to being able to see the scaling properties and probably also find places where you could make high yield bet and grow your money, but just by paying attention. So it's saying that yes, because you're working closer with the money, you often have more leverage. Often you can scale faster and better. Information asymmetry, the paying attention part. A coffee shop, paying attention might help you save 2% on milk costs. In finance, paying attention to a specific market shift could lead to 100% or 1,000% returns because you can apply that insight across massive amounts of capital instantly. The owner versions of finance. If you want to enter finance as an owner without being an employee, your common routes: private equity, raise money from others to buy a boring business like plumbing company, optimize it using financial principles and sell it. Hard money lending, registered investment advisor, proprietary trading. So this is very interesting. Now I want to ask questions about where the Venn diagram of cash flow business in finance overlaps with, in my mind, a laundromat or a vending machine business sounds very straightforward because it's simple conceptually, but I don't know anything about finance. So I wonder how much I would have to learn about finance before I could get involved in that at an ownership level? Question mark. How much money do you need in order to start being a business owner in finance? Question mark. How much finance do you need to learn? Straightforward business like laundromats, blah, cash flow versus profit. What's left on the paper, and in the month, cash flow is the actual money in your bank account. In the laundromat, if a machine breaks, your profit might look fine, but the cash flows hit seller's discretionary earning. Buying existing business is total benefit, return on investment. The Learning Peak, Profit First by Michael Law. How much money did you need to start? Vending machine, laundromat, hard money lending, and private equity. So it does look like you need a lot more money to start private equity. Although for hard money lending, it looks like the value is much lower. I don't know why that is. The risk, the complexity is high if you are a bank, and the complexity is very high if you're in private equity. The complexity is very low for vending machine and laundromat, starting a business with less money. Anyways, this is all. The thing that's interesting to me is that all these the learning curves, the startup costs, the return on investment, all this stuff should be researchable. You should be able to fucking plot this on a graph, just like, what are the trade-offs, and very rigorously compare how all businesses stack up to each other. Which ones offer the highest return for the least investment in terms of time and education and also startup money. And it should, of course, this is all paper math. I don't know if it necessarily intersects with the real world. You'd have to do further research after you do the math on paper to make sure that it bears out in the real world. But doing the research on paper is obviously the first place to start, because it's like, if you research it and it turns out to be wrong, then you're obviously finding bad research. But it's all just a matter of information. Once you know what the best thing is, and you should be able to prove it. And also, finding out what the best thing is seems like the most important thing you could be doing if you're trying to make the most money and grow the most. And I don't know, I think that a lot of people go into business because they're attracted to the idea of doing a certain kind of labor, not because they actually want to make a lot of money. And that's really weird to me. I had a friend who started a coffee shop when I was living back in my hometown, and a really smart guy. His wife dreamed of starting a coffee shop, so they started a coffee shop together. And it's a very difficult thing to do, especially in that small town. It was a custom little bespoke coffee shop in a small town. I think they struggled financially, and I always wondered, just like, why did they decide to do that? Because it just seemed like it was going to be a difficult thing from the outset, and they did it anyway. And I was just like, why would you voluntarily pick a career or a job where sure you might enjoy the work, but also if it seems doomed to fail and you're going to lose your investment from the beginning, or maybe not doomed to fail, but just like there's a percentage of chance that it might fail. I mean, if that's higher than not, why not choose something else? I don't know. Anyways, I think that I will stop here today, but very interesting.